Welcome again to Live Below the Poverty Line. In segment 2, we're going to talk a little bit further of the things that we talked earlier from our other blog, justice and 1% and everything that we talked about before, but we're going to go in a little more detail. But first, we need to bring up something else. It may, at the time, seem like it's not relevant to a bunch of this stuff, but I assure you later, you'll figure it out. It does. And we're going to talk about one of the most things that people talk about all the time. It's the one thing that everybody knows, the Second Amendment. It is a key element to a lot of things, okay? And people don't realize how fragile this thing really is, all right? And don't understand the necessity of this document, this amendment, okay? It's very important, and that's why both sides of the coin, one trying to knock it out completely and the other one's going and trying to save it, there's a reason for it. I mean, does anybody talk about the Fourth Amendment? The first, well, yeah, first, but fourth, fifth, those don't pertain to anything much more important than this really is, and we're coming into a time frame in life that this becomes more and more important than you actually realize. It's been put into place a long time ago, knowing that it could play a factor in a government system that was put in its infancy stage. It was put together really quickly. You try to branch it as best as you can, but they put this in here for a reason, because they probably suspected that, like anything else, corruption and greed and control will change the world, because they already had their own previous histories, even though, hell, they were, pioneers that came over here and all that stuff. But before, kings, queens, all that stuff had a history, and usually revolves around greed and control. And how do you stop something like that and put it in place that the people are protected just as well as the people on the top that are supposed to be protecting them? But in the act that upper portion decides that we're going to be in control, this is what protects us from that. It may happen, it may not, but it's good to have the fail-safe in there. This is very important. So let's listen to this. We'll do it phrase by phrase to really understand it. Okay, it says a well-regulated militia. Well-regulated militia. What? No better than the patriots of old, hiding in the trees, shooting down British soldiers. Okay, that's a militant. They've already done it. It's been proven to work. That's the idea. A militant is a grouping of, usually, as usual in the world, poor people, either fighting with a government or against one way or the other. But we're the ones that handle the tools. Alright? So they either need to be sweating out that they're coming, those tools are coming at them, or we're using it to protect them, or us. So, one regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. Meaning you shouldn't have to bow down to flat out being pushed down by the people we supposedly put in place to protect us. So in the case that they really start pushing hard and changing everything, we're supposed to be able to fight back. That is part of that. If you can understand, a free state means all states, everything. It's pretty cut and dry. I mean, you could put a lot of, in today's world, we could probably take in this bit of information and made like 20 pages of fucking reverses after reverses to clarify each fucking word, which is fucking ridiculous anyways, because really the straight approach is the most direct, and it really tells you exactly how the story is going to go. Alright, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Should not be infringed. Shall not be infringed, meaning no, you don't get to take it away. Even though we form this government and later on down the road they might want to change it, we're going to make it really difficult to do so, because we've already put enough foresight into things that in case something did go rogue and the government truly got bigger than it was supposed to be and started changing things around into back to like a kingdom, only instead of, like I was with the 1%, instead of one king, you have multiple ones, but of a 1%, and that's just as dangerous. So that's the idea behind this. So over time, they've tried to dilute things, create different reasons why this law is not really necessary and how we should just wipe it out. And they chip away at it and chip away at it, and we lose a little bit of those rights constantly through regulation and all this other stuff. I hate to tell you people out there in the American public, but criminals and those really bad guys and the people with money are not buying fucking weapons from your local fucking store like the regular, ordinary system would. Okay? The gun violences are based upon certain aspects that you probably don't even want to look at, because let's take like wiped out serial numbers, okay? This is proven stuff if you want to go and take a look for it, okay? Most military outfits and everything else has to destroy their weapons like anybody else does. Metal gets burned, it's like a recycling plant. But if you got a bunch of people that want to make a little extra money on the side, some of those weapons seem to sleep out, rub out the serial numbers, sell them onto the general street, make their fucking point of the cut, all right? But if you actually start cataloging these weapons and try to really, really find out where they were, despite the wiped out serial numbers, you probably find out where they really come from. All right? But they're definitely not bought at Kmart, and they're not going to be bought at Walmart, and they're not going to be bought at a fucking gun show to go fucking do some horrendous crime with it. It's just, it boggles my mind how they use that in order to control or chip away at this particular ideal. All right? It's not right. And whether you like guns, hate guns, doesn't really matter, okay? This little piece is one shred that keeps everything together, and this is why. Okay? If you deregulate and tell everybody, it's just for anybody within government, that's police, fire, well, not fire, but FBI, CIA, just all government officials and particular people can own guns for their particular line of work, and every American citizen here that can't even get a freaking gun to go hunting. All right, once you strip all that away from, and you have the control on your side of the fence with all the weapons, and now the majority of the people, which is a much bigger majority against the little people, the rich fucking shitbag 1% up here, now they're fully protected because their system has all the guns. You have none of the guns, and you've lost your chance and your right to regain control once it gets out of control. I'm not saying that's happening now. I'm just trying to explain to you that it could get to a level of that thing, and it doesn't hurt us to keep it. It only hurts them. And it keeps everything still in check. And they know that. And that's why I've been tripping away at this, that, different gun laws, yeah. And it varies from state to state. And that's, what you need. So, see how the 1% is involved when I was talking about earlier. How this amendment is trying to be chipped away. That's why. So, gun violence isn't going to go away by stripping the entire people of weapons, okay? If somebody wants to kill somebody bad enough, they will find a way. They don't need a weapon that fires bullets. There's so many more creative ways. I mean, if somebody really badly wants you dead, they will die. Or you will die. So it really makes little difference. But by making sure everybody has one, it actually lowers the chances of any real confrontation because everybody knows each one is carrying one. A good example of that is during that wussy time period where people would go back to back and walk 10 paces, turn around and fire at each other. You know where that comes about? And that's why they were so courteous to each other, because if you offended somebody, that was you to go 10 steps ahead, turn around and fire a gun at somebody. So you kept yourself at a coolness because everybody had one. Everybody, and cowboys, the whole 9 yards, it was a different structure. People weren't so easily to jump. Sure, there was violence. There's always going to be violence, but which one do you want to do? Do you want to strip your rules and regulations so that maybe a 3 or 4% change in gun violence and deaths? There's more deaths being caused by a whole lot more than that. But we don't go after that. But that's for another time. So we're going to just talk about that. So keep in mind, whenever they talk about the Second Amendment, you should really look and pay attention and watch the people that are chipping away at it or saying this isn't what it really means. It is what it means. It's pretty plain. It's pretty simple. You can try and dissect it all you want, but it's a fail-safe to help protect the people that was done a long time ago, just in case. So never try to give away that. Once that right has been given away, you might as well just change this into another, kingdom. Here's your servants, here's your dukes and lords, and here's your fucking poverty, your peasants. And that's what it'll turn to, and there won't be anything we can do about it. Because they strip it all away from us. It's clever, it's brilliant, it'd be something I'd want to watch out for. Anyhow, we're going to move back to the last other blog. We were talking about Wells Fargo and the connection, and we'll kind of figure out where the Second Amendment thing kind of fits in here. It's a little complicated, but I'll try to simplify it as best as I can. Wells Fargo has actually really even more pissed me off than normal. Now that I've actually started to sit there and watch this stuff in these little conferences where everybody gets to have their say about this stuff, I'm actually starting to think this Robert Stumpf, all right, is your patsy. He's absolutely a fucking patsy. Because in any normal world, if you're the CEO and you fuck up like that, you're fucking pretty much fired. So there's either a reason here. There's two functions to this. Either one, you did this shit, we're staying out of it, you fucking take the brunt of everything, and then when you get done, you can either resign or we'll fire you, one of the two options. Or this one, which is probably more plausible. We all are guilty on this board for all this shit because we pushed it. But you're the CEO, so here's the deal. You go out there, you fucking take the clunks, you take the knocks from all these people up on the higher ranks asking questions. They're going to drill you into the dirt, but you're going to take the brunt for us. And when you come back, you can retire and take your money and go. Okay? You see a little couple flashes where he's not going to get $41 million out of, his profit that he made during this time frame. You forgot about what the big number was, and that it's kind of like taking $10 away from a guy who has 1,000. It really doesn't hurt. Alright? And I'm listening to it, and he's a patsy. So, like when a kid does something really bad, we put him in a room and everybody gets a chance to yell at him, teachers, this, that. It depends on, we'll say it's a big time bad thing and everybody's talking to him. Well, this is what it is. He's sitting in a chair. All these representatives from all over the place are just fucking drilling this motherfucker. You know he's lying. He says the same fucking shit over and over again. He's just there to take fucking lumps. And they look good and saying we're strong about this. And, here's this and that and that and this of all this parade of bullshit this guy has done. And they've known it for forever. That's the killer. It's not like this was just discovered. They've been investigating this for quite a long time, okay? And they never pulled the cord. They let it watch and go. Kind of like Enron, everybody remembers Enron, right? Yeah, Enron. Cool, good example. He tried to do it better, though. That's the way it was supposed to be done. Boost up your margins real quick and still make some money and still keep the illusion up that everything is actually fine while we're screwing people on a lower level. Now, if you think by any luck and chance people that are millionaires or kind of close to the 1% but not quite there, that are making that kind of money, they have accountants that watch for this stuff. So if any of those type of stuff ever happened, it would have been fixed and corrected. Meanwhile, the guy chasing a dollar every day doesn't have the time to go through through records and stuff that actually are hidden in the first place. So now he's getting hit by fees and all this other stuff, getting screwed over even worse, and there's no way they can fix that. Again, the little guy, down here in the poverty level, gets fucked again. Well, the people that are swimming a little too close to the poverty line, and they're about to plunge down with the rest of us. Trying to keep afloat, trying to keep everything going. And he's the example of why the stock market in itself is evil, and unfortunately a necessary evil. I was I was talking to somebody about this not too long ago. Okay, they were talking about we talked about like the impacts of the airplanes and where they particularly went for 9/11, right? Where their target sites were. You want to cripple the world, you would have taken down the stock market. You would have probably taken all those plans into one, and that would have pushed everybody into the Stone Age. That would have changed the dimensions of all the game. But you know why nobody did that? Because everybody else's money is tied into that. The whole world is tied into that. So these asshole fucking pieces of shit terrorists are getting funded by people with money, but they're also in that market too. So they don't touch that shit. That's not going to be touched. Alright? That's why that's not a target. Alright? Pretty fucked up to think about, but that's the reality. Okay? Because if you did attack that and took that down, it would send waves of shit fucking storms that would change the dimensions of everything. To rebuild that, to redo it off the ground, and try to start that back up is gonna. It would be an amazing feat, and in the meantime, you wouldn't want to see the frickin' results of it, because that's the whole financial institution in one place, right? So there you go, and that's why that will never be attacked, because that's where all the greed is. That's where the number pushes are. This is why people like Wells Fargo have to go beyond that line, because having just enough shit ton of money isn't enough. You got to push that, to push it another percent, another percent, another percent, to make your stock go up and his stock go up and everybody else. But the only people that are suffering from this bullshit lie are the people sitting down here at the bottom. That just trickles the fuck down. They say, well, when they do pretty good, then everybody does good. I haven't seen that in a while, and this is why. Greed, true greed, comes from somebody doing something dishonest right from the get-go. And then gets away with the little thing. And then gets away with the next thing. And then the next thing. And nobody seems to stop them. And by the time they fuck shit up so bad, we let them do it. We saw it. We're just like that. And I think one of the big reasons why this guy is being prosecuted is because I think he didn't let the fucking upper percentile get a little piece of his fucking action. And so their way of going, well, you can't fuck us. We're one of the biggest of the majority. You may be sitting around in this fucking crown, maybe a jewel here and there, but that jewel can be popped out and replaced. And since you didn't cut us in on the fucking action, well, oops, here's an indictment. Get ready for a spanking. And I think that's truly why he's there, but he's also the patsy for it, because I guarantee you about 80% of those people in that room telling this guy off in a nice way probably have stock in Wells Fargo, to tell you the truth. I mean, how slippery can you be to fire 1,000 employees a year? I don't care how big your fucking organization is. 1,000 people being fired is a red flag to say, huh? Either, huh? My employees are fucking us all over. You know, the guy with a $25,000 a year is fucking making fake accounts. He doesn't get any bonuses for it, but he gets to keep his job. That's why he's doing it. He's not really benefiting from it, so why are we hitting these people on the bottom when we know where it came from? So, a good percentage of people, I believe, have an ethical thing. And so instead of fucking sitting there and fucking screwing over little people so their conscience can be saved, so they can sleep at night and go, you know what, I lost my job, but fuck it, I'm not fucking over a bunch of people because I